Hi everyone, this is a quick tutorial on how to do basic compositing in Photoshop. So I have this one image and this is the original picture, and you want to use, if I want to make a really effective black and white photo, you want to start by applying a black and white filter. And as you could see, you still have full access to the channels in in the black and white mode, so you can create really dramatic effects in terms of like if I click this off, you can see that let me just change this, use saturation here. You can see that once I actually, let's say I'm changing the green, you can see the changes happening in the background, or if I manipulate the red, you can see the color. I mean, it's ever so slight, but you can kind of see that the changes actually occur in that format. So obviously I did like way too much, so I'm going to bring some of the information back here, and maybe I just want something super dramatic like this. And again, as you could see, when I'm moving this cyan, if I click this off, it affects anything that has a bluish tint to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually just move the red out a bit to soften the skin. And I also added like a little bit of a contrast as well as a hue and saturation. And I think the contrast may be a little too much, so I'm gonna pull it back. And again, you can kind of see how you can create something that's a little bit more dramatic. So this is a couple of different ways to create very dramatic black and white filter version of your image. I also added another layer that includes a tint, a blue tint, which I like a lot. Again, this was based on just the static. I think it was based on this picture, and I just blurred it out like significantly using the Gaussian blur. I'm going to actually come back up here. I'm going to turn this blue tint off. I'll come back to this blue effect here, and again, you can see that I am using these different layer modes. So you want to make sure you're on your move tool, and if you click the shift plus and shift minus, you go through all the different options that you have, and you can pick the one that you find the most appealing to you. So I actually kind of like the color burn. I think that, to me, that looks the best. And you can also drop the opacity to something less. So this one, now we have a completely different look of our picture. And if you, let's say you want to create a postcard for an event, maybe it's a music event, you can just add your text somewhere. So it simply becomes something more than a static picture. I also have this other picture. I'm going to turn this layer off, and basically it's the same thing. I added like this picture is just pretty basic, and by adding this other effect and changing the color value, you create a completely new look. I also like to use I kind of like to use textures. So I'm going to go ahead and open this other Photoshop file because I already have some textures in there. I'm going to grab them, all textures, and I'm going to bring it in here. And I'm going to rotate the group that I have here. Okay, go back here. All right. And I'm going to put it in here. Now, I'm going to actually turn off these two textures, and maybe I'll start with this one. And again, you can see that by simply just adding this mode on top of this picture, so let me just duplicate this picture. I'm gonna move it in here. Oops. I'm just going to duplicate, Command J, and move this up. I'm going to put it in the same group that I have as my textures here. And I'm going to again go to my layer modes, make sure I'm on the move tool, and use Shift plus to navigate through these settings. And you can see that each one, by just combining like an old texture file, it completely changed the look and the feel of your image. And I kind of like this one the best. So again, this would be the normal look. And I have this other layer, and once again, Shift plus to go through the different modes. And you can see now, because this other picture has a border, it sort of uses this border as a matte, and you can see that it's cut, just completely cutting it out. And you'll just simply go through the layers. I actually really like this one. And so basically, by using these different compositing modes, you can create completely new images from your static, basically your the normal version of your photo. You can kind of create like multiple looks by using these techniques. Again, this would be very similar to creating double exposures in the when you create the double exposures in the camera. This would be one way of doing it in Photoshop. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.